all
there are no
faith
Christian
is
hypocrites?
No, there are.
You made a career on that.
They're not as dangerous. I mean, there's only one faith, for example, that kills you or wants to kill you if you draw a bad cartoon of the prophet. There's only one faith that kills you or wants to kill you if you renounce the faith. An ex-Muslim is a very dangerous thing. Talk to Salman Rushdie after the show about Christian versus Islam. So, you know, I'm just saying, let's keep it real.
Well, I guess I have a girl for you, Pam Geller, you could maybe meet. No, I really disagree with you.
I don't know what that means.
Well, she's an Islamophobe. But no,
I'm not an Islamophobe. That's wrong. I am a truth lover. All religions are not alike. As many people have pointed out, the Book of Mormon, did you see the show?
No, it's hard to get tickets.
Okay. Can you imagine if they did the Book of Islam? Could they do that? There's only one religion that threatens violence and carries it out for things like that. Could they do the Book of Islam on Broadway?
Possibly so, but
possibly so. Tell me what color the sky is in your world.
Here's my difficulty with your premise here, Bill, and that is, look at how religions over history have had things done in their name that have been terrible.
Absolutely.
Right.
But we're not in history. We're in 2013.
Right. But what I would tell you...
You're right. During the Middle Ages, I would say Christianity was the bigger problem.
If I may, though. You are making an error in that Islam has over 1.4 billion adherents. There's a heterogeneity to it. Are there extremists who are horrible people who would slit your throats? Yes, but there are also folks that are fine, upstanding people.
Of course.
I'm very worried that you have a national audience where we're promoting Islamic hatred.
We're not. No, you're wrong about that, and you're wrong about your facts. Now, obviously, most Muslim people are not terrorists, but ask most Muslim people in the world, if you insult the Prophet, do you have what's coming to you? It's more than just a fringe element.
I disagree with you. I think what
You're wrong.
Well, I'll never be invited back.
No, you're invited back. We like debate here.
Bless you.
But wait, you know what? Let's get off this, because I have so much I wanted to ask
Sure.
you. And we can talk about this.
We can agree to disagree, though.
We can agree
My
to
kid's
disagree.
dentist is not going to blow anything up, you know. If you look at all...
I don't know what that means either.
What I'm saying is
To the media these days in the United States, there has been so much talk lately about Muslims trying to impose the Sharia law in the United States. It sounds so funny. There are some forces in this country are trying to instill fear in the minds of millions of Americans by raising such topic. Muslims imposing Sharia law in the United States. And unfortunately, there are some people who are influenced by that kind of talk, who are really concerned that Muslims are invading the United States and soon they will impose the Sharia law. Well, first of all, Muslims in their own countries were not able to impose the Sharia law, not alone the United States. Number two, in the United States, there is one law, and that is the law of the land. That is the laws of the United States of America. And the Constitution of the United States would prohibit imposing any laws other than the laws of the United States.
Hello, America. As I'm sure you already know, not long ago, Pastor Terry Jones and his church put the Quran on trial, found it guilty, and sentenced it to this. Now, I've said before that I'm against burning books and that I disagree with the actions of Pastor Jones, But that's the great thing about America. We're allowed to disagree. I can say, hey, Pastor Jones, I think book burning is backwards and barbaric. And he can say, too bad, these are desperate times. We're trying to make a point. The reason people can discuss their differences and not kill each other in the United States is that over the past 2 centuries, we've come to respect the free speech rights of all citizens. In countries that haven't learned to respect certain basic freedoms, disagreements often lead to violence and bloodshed, as you can see from the deadly protests in Afghanistan. This is why it's so disturbing that U.S. lawmakers are now apparently looking for ways to limit free speech about Islam. Senator Lindsey Graham recently said this.
You know, I wish we could find some way to hold people accountable. Free speech is a great idea, but we're in a war. During World War II, you had limits on what you could say if it would inspire the enemy.
Freedom of speech is a great idea, but not if it might lead to problems. As the mighty Patrick Henry said, give me liberty so long as it doesn't offend Muslims.
Anytime we can push back here in America against actions like this that put our troops at risk, we ought to do it.
The government needs to push back against free speech. Let me see if I've got this straight. The U.S. military and its allies are engaged in Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. One of the goals of this mission is to bring a lasting democracy to the Afghan people. Let's face it, we're trying to make Afghanistan more like the West, at least in terms of minority rights, women's rights, and so on. But according to Senator Graham, in order to make Afghanistan more like America, we have to make America more like Afghanistan. If we want to win Operation Enduring Freedom over there, we need to start Operation Enduring Sharia over here. Yes, if you want victory over the Taliban, just let the Taliban revise the Bill of Rights. Some people are worried that Senator Graham's plan, if successful, would be the beginning of Sharia in the United States. I hate to be the one to inform everyone, but we've already got Sharia in the United States. And no, I'm not talking about Dearborn, Michigan, where Judge Mark Summers and Judge Michael J. Callahan have ruled that police have probable cause to arrest a Christian, even if the Christian hasn't committed a crime and hasn't been accused of committing a crime. The Fourth Amendment no longer protects Christians from illegal search and seizure in the city of Dearborn. But right now I'm not talking about a single city. Sharia has already replaced part of the Bill of Rights of the U.S. Constitution. Sounds crazy, right? It would sound crazy to me too if I didn't know what I'm about to say. Let's look at a few video clips. Here's Secretary of State Hillary Clinton condemning Quran burning while speaking at a Muslim iftar dinner during Ramadan.
I am heartened by the clear, unequivocal condemnation of this disrespectful, disgraceful act.
According to President Obama, God is against burning the Quran, and if you pray about it, the angels will tell you.
And he says he's praying on it.
Yeah, I hope he listens to those better angels.
A few days ago, General David Petraeus, commander of the U.S. forces in Afghanistan, condemned Pastor Jones for burning the Holy Quran.
We condemn the action of an individual in the United States who burned a Holy Quran. That action was hateful, it was intolerant, and it was extremely disrespectful.
So, there you have it, the official position of U.S. leaders on burning a religious text. My question for Secretary of State Clinton and President Obama and General Petraeus is this. Do you think Americans are so dull, ignorant, stupid, slow-witted, and scatterbrained that we forgot about this little incident?
Bibles written in Pashto and Dari, the two most common Afghan languages. Bibles sent by a church to a U.S. soldier in Afghanistan. Bibles that were later burned by the U.S. government.
Who burned the Bibles? A bunch of Muslim radicals?
Burned by the U.S. government.
Who? A toothless hillbilly straight out of Deliverance?
Burned by the U.S. government.
The U.S. government?
The U.S. government.
But I thought only racist, intolerant bigots burned holy books. That's what I've been repeatedly told by the same government that burned these Bibles.
It was their best judgment at the time. The best way to deal with it was to destroy them. And I understand that they were burned.
Why would the U.S. government burn Bibles?
The leadership confiscated these Bibles so they could not be distributed here in Afghanistan.
I don't get it. Wouldn't the Muslims of Afghanistan welcome Christian evangelists with open arms on account of Islam being so peaceful and such?
A U.S. military spokesman tells CNN that kind of religious outreach could have provoked a violent backlash against Americans in this devoutly Muslim nation.
Interesting. You don't burn the Quran, because if you do, Muslims might go on a killing spree. But you do burn the Bible, because if you don't, Muslims might go on a killing spree.
Islam has a proud tradition of tolerance.
But why burn the Bibles?
The decision was made to throw the Bibles away, and in war zones, U.S. troops are required to burn their trash.
Ah, now I understand. You had to burn the Bibles because it's military policy to burn garbage. Would you like to know what the military's policy is when it comes to the Quran? I have here a copy of a Department of Defense memorandum distributed at Gitmo, explaining how U.S. soldiers are to handle the Quran if they absolutely must touch a copy. Check out the highlighted portion. Clean gloves will be put on in full view of the detainees prior to handling. 2 hands will be used at all times when handling the Quran in manner signaling respect and reverence. Care should be used so that the right hand is the primary one used to manipulate any part of the Quran due to the cultural association with the left hand. Handle the Quran as if it were a fragile piece of delicate art.
The Holy Quran, the Holy Quran, the Holy Quran.
According to U.S. government policy, you must handle the Quran with respect and reverence, as if it were a delicate piece of art. But feel free to burn the Bible, because that's just what you do with garbage. If you burn the Quran, the government will condemn your actions. If you burn the Bible, hey, had to be done. What's this mean? It means that the U.S. government has given the Quran a privileged status over all other books. They say it's wrong to burn religious texts, but their actions show they really only care about one religious text. This means, of course, that the government has violated the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. They're giving a special position to the Holy Book of Islam. And what has replaced the Establishment Clause? How about Surah 9, verse 33?
The Holy Quran teaches that
it is He who has sent His messenger, Muhammad, with guidance and the religion of truth, Islam, to make it superior over all religions, even though the mushrikun, polytheists, pagans, idolaters, disbelievers in the oneness of Allah, hate it. If you have a Quran, you might want to read this verse in context. Verse 29 commands Muslims to fight those who do not believe in Allah. Verse 30 condemns Christians and Jews and calls for our destruction. Verse 31 claims that Christians and Jews have abandoned pure monotheism. Verse 32 says that unbelievers try in vain to put out Allah's light. And finally, verse 33 declares that Allah will make Islam superior to all other religions. So our leaders are giving Islam the special treatment it demands.
A Holy Quran, a Holy Quran, a Holy Quran.
This is why, even though the vast majority of religiously motivated hate crimes in the U.S. are directed against Jews, we're having hearings on anti-Muslim bigotry. Why are Muslims more important than Jews? Surah 3, verse 110 says to Muslims,
the Holy Quran tells us,
you are the best of peoples ever raised up for mankind. Muslims are the best people in the world. But who are the worst people in the world? Jews, Christians, and other non-Muslims. Surah 98, verse 6.
As the Holy Quran tells us,
verily, those who disbelieve in the religion of Islam, the Quran, and Prophet Muhammad, from among the people of the Scripture, Jews and Christians, and al-mushrikun will abide in the fire of hell. They are the worst of creatures. We're the worst of creatures. Muslims are the best of peoples. That's what this book says, and it's obviously the official position of the U.S. government. Oh, I'm sorry. Should I be using my right hand, President Obama? I don't want the FBI kicking down my door.
And I consider it part of my responsibility as President of the United States to fight against negative stereotypes of Islam wherever they appear.
What Senator Graham is suggesting then isn't that we introduce Sharia into America. We've already done that. He's telling us we should find ways to expand the domain of Sharia. Come on, folks, it's already replaced part of the First Amendment. Why not finish the project and take out the free speech clause too? So, after fighting for our independence from Britain and vowing in the preamble of the Constitution that we would secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, after enduring a bloody war to end slavery and marching for women's rights, after defeating the Nazis and quarantining communism, America dies a quiet death under the knife of political correctness, leaving us with a strange, heterogeneous mixture of dwindling American greatness and Islamic supremacism. It's a brave new world, my friends. Welcome to Sharia America, where becoming a dhimmi is a citizen's duty. Unless, of course, we decide to fight the power.
In order to fight the power that be, fight the power. Fight the power. Fight the power. Fight the power. We've got to fight the powers that be.
That subject is a kind of wasting time, because there is no such thing exists, nor it will exist, because by the laws of the United States, no laws are recognized in this country other than the secular laws of the United States. Now, I would like to shed some lights on the Sharia law. When they say Sharia law, what do they mean by this word? I think most of those who talk about the Sharia law, they don't even know what they are talking about. But to clarify the concept Sharia law means Islamic laws. Now we have three types of Islamic laws. Listen to this. The first type of Islamic laws pertain to the Muslim individual as an individual. For example, rules pertaining to your prayer, to your fasting, to your Hajj. These are Islamic rules pertaining to the Muslim individual as an individual. Now, anything wrong with a Muslim practicing that kind of laws in the United States? Of course no. Just like Christians practice their own Christian laws, just like the Jewish people practice their own Jewish laws pertaining to their religion, Muslims have the right to practice their Islamic laws pertaining to their individuals. Just like an average Jew has the right to worship God the way he wants, a Muslim individual has the right to worship God the way he wants. Just like a Christian person has the right to exercise his Christianity, a Muslim person has the right to exercise his religion in this country. Indeed, that right is a sacred right, and it is protected by the Constitution of the United States.
And obviously now Hosni Mubarak, you know, inshallah soon.
I got that. I got all that. That's not the question.
We've seen them going through. Well, I'm addressing your question. You have to allow me to finish.
No, but I just read to you their motto, sir. Yeah. And their motto is "Jihad is our way," and the Quran is our law. You want the Quran to be the law. You want an Islamic caliphate. And how do we interpret Sharia from your view? For example, can women drive in Saudi Arabia under Sharia? They can't. If women are raped, they need 4 male eyewitnesses. Women in Iran under Sharia are stoned to death. Is that the Islamic law you support, sir?
Okay. Okay, well, if I answer this question, let me talk about the Sharia. Obviously, the Sharia is misunderstood. There's no doubt about that. Under the Sharia, we don't have women stoned because, they are raped or because they commit adultery and the man is not, if you like, punished. This is completely false. Under the Sharia, in fact, what we find is that the basic needs of food, clothing, and shelter are met. The life, the wealth, the honor, the dignity of all citizens are protected. In fact, the Sharia was implemented in Egypt for over a millennium. In Egypt, the Jews and the Christians and the Muslims were able to live. Well, allow me to explain what the Sharia means.
Sir, I have example after example. Women are stoned to death in Egypt. Women can't drive under Sharia in Saudi Arabia. You yourself, sir. Let me finish my question. You yourself, people who commit adultery should be stoned to death. You said that. You said that Egypt and America one day will be under Sharia law. You said every woman, Muslim or non-Muslim, would have to wear a burqa. Did you not say that, sir?
What I said was, in fact, and what I continue to repeat, is that I do believe that the whole world would one day be governed by the Sharia. That is a promise of the best man who walked the earth, the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But let me say something. Look, there are many misconceptions about the Sharia. At the moment we have about 55 so-called Muslim countries. None of them implement the Sharia. We have some examples, for example, where people are trying to implement the Sharia, as in Somalia, in parts of Iraq and Afghanistan. This is a project, and if you look at those places, the Shabab in Somalia, they eradicated corruption.
Countries.
Sir, allow me just to finish my conversation. I think your listeners, would like to.
Did you or did you not say people who commit adultery should be stoned to death? Did you say that?
That is not my statement, but I believe that. Certainly, I do believe that when the Sharia is implemented, and you have the education system of Islam, and you have the social and economic justice, certainly the penal code needs to be implemented. But it's not just about. Well, allow me to finish. It's not just about stoning people to death. Well, look, Mr. Hannity, I believe your name is Hannity. If you're just going to, kind of hound me with questions or not allow me to answer your questions, I think your listeners or your viewers are going to be very upset. Allow me to at least finish a sentence. I mean, I'm supposed to be a guest on your show.
This is not a monopoly, and I'm not a guest on your show. We don't have limited time.
It's not a monopoly, but what you're doing is just shouting at me, you see, and I don't think, that's not a very kind of like a decent way of having a conversation.
I'm going to tell you why, because you don't answer questions. I'm asking you. You said people who commit adultery should be stoned to death. Anyone who becomes intoxicated with alcohol should be given 40 lashes in public. You said that. Every woman, Muslim and non-Muslim, should have to wear a burqa and cover all but their face and their hands. And my question is this. That's your version of Sharia. Forget about the 55 countries. That's what you would impose on the people of Egypt. And you would rob them of their freedom, sir.
Let me tell you something. The people of Egypt are not upset with Islam and the Sharia. They want to be free from the American hegemony in the area. They want to be free to support their brothers in Gaza. They want to be free to be able to practice their religion. They want to be free to be able to wear the burqa, the khimar and jilbab in institutions. They want to be free to be able to do as they please and have food, clothing and shelter. They don't want the freedom that you're propagating in America, which is torture and mayhem in Guantanamo Bay and Bagram Air Base, bombing Muslims in Iraq and Afghanistan.
You speak of freedom,
I don't think that the people in Egypt are envious of the American government in what you're doing. You don't have a decent way of life that you can export to our countries.
Sir,
don't pretend that you have a perfect system of people
the American way of life with its prosperity and the freedom against your prosperity. Now it's my turn.
In the whole world,
I will put America, sir. I will put America's freedom up against your tyranny that would force women to wear burqas, that would put people to death because they commit crimes that you don't agree with in choices they make, that you would give 40 lashes to people that drink alcohol because you are imposing your radical views on innocent people because you don't believe in freedom. And that's what an Islamic caliphate, which you support, would result in, sir.
Look, there is freedom from and freedom to. The parameters of freedom need to be laid down. I believe that the one who should lay down those parameters is Allah, is God, the one who created us. You believe that people who are following their own whims and desires, like Barack Obama and George Bush, should lay down the boundaries. That is why in America, in 28 states, bestiality is lawful. That is why in America, you have over 2 million people in prisons. That's why in America you have the death penalty. But you have a long list of people who are waiting to be killed.
We would have less people in prison if
the Sharia eradicated
poverty.
You're right.
We would have less people in prison if we don't like what they do, we would cut their hands off, and we'd bury them halfway in the ground and stone them to death. You're right, the prisons would be half empty.
Let me tell you something.
Under your way of life, that's what we'd be doing. We'd stone them to death, just like in the barbarian that down people's throats. You want to cut off people's hands? Excuse me, I'm not finished. You want to cut off people's hands that steal. You want to stone people to death if they commit adultery. You want to rob Israel's land, and you're justified. And I believe, although you don't have the courage to admit it because you're a bit of a coward, that you believe that people that killed 3,000 Americans are going to heaven and they're going to get 72 virgins. So don't you see, can you not stand back from your sick, twisted, bizarre ideology here to see that those 3,000 people were innocent victims, sir? Can you not see that?
You know, Mr. Hannity, you have a truth phobia. Whenever I turn the table on you and I talk about the reality, you want to avoid it, you want to talk over me. Your viewers will see through your lies and your propaganda.
My lies,
the
my
fact
propaganda.
Is the Americans are the biggest criminals, in the world today. They are bombing Muslims, they're occupying our land. Yes, I believe in the Sharia. I believe sovereignty belongs to God. And the Sharia will come to America.
And you believe in virgins in heaven, don't you?
It will remove the corruption of democracy and freedom and all of your exploitation. You are worried because you know Islam is coming to your backyard. And you cannot tolerate that. The biggest criminals and the biggest murderers in today are not the Muslims. We didn't bomb.
Let me ask you a question. I mean, because I'm a non-believer, I'm an infant. I'm a non-believer. I have a question. I'm a non-believer. Hang on a second.
To blame the Muslims.
I'm a non-believer. I'm an infidel. I mean, should I, if I don't convert to Islam, should I die?
No, you can live under the Sharia.
I can live under Sharia. Oh, thank you, sir. Please, I thank you so very much.
Your food, clothing, and shelter will be provided, and you will not be exploited, unlike as in America and in Britain and in the Western countries. You will have the basic rights, and of course, you will live as a citizen, unlike the way people are being exploited at the moment.
I must live as a citizen under Sharia. I've got to live under your caliphate and your way of life, and if I don't, I'll die. I'll be killed, and you'll feel justified, and you'll be rewarded in heaven.
Look, you've got to do a little bit more research.
We've had enough of this.
You cannot base your understanding of Islam on one trip to the library.
My understanding of Islam is exactly accurate. Your comments condemn yourself, sir.
Broaden your horizon a little bit more. You know, you're very
Thank you very much for being with us.
Next time we can have a more decent conversation.
Yeah, well, you're one sick, miserable, evil SOB. But thank you for coming on anyway. We will analyze the Obama administration's actions regarding Egypt and much more. Carl Rove coming up straight ahead.
Farmer with the Muslim family, we too are living there. He invited me that you all family should embrace Islam and come to Islam. When we totally refused and we will not come under their pressure, then they abused my daughter. I was working in a farm. He came to my home and he saw my young daughter and kidnapped her. When I went back to my home, so I saw my daughter was not there. Then on one field I saw him that he was raping her, and when he saw me, he left her unconscious with bleeding and ran away. I wanted to catch him, but when I saw my daughter unconscious and full of bleeding, I was not able to even go any further, so I took her in my hands. She has a nightmare and she's still traumatized. And there are some depression, but there are many other things which I cannot show on her body. She cannot pass urine in a normal way, so they made another hole from here to pass urine and the other thing. On every knock on our door, we think that someone came to kill us. Yes, I went to the police, but due to their pressure, police was not listening to us. Till now, they are threatening us. They are after our lives and they wanted to kill us.
very tough to meet this little girl. It's one of the most hard things that I ever did in my life. This little girl will not be able ever to be married, to get married. She will never be able to live a normal life. Not only that, she is a threat to the rest of her life, and she needs to be in hiding, she and her family, just because in case that the Muslim extremists know where they are, they can arrest them again, they can rape them again, and they can torture them again. And we need to do something about that.
Far from the Saudi capital of Riyadh, in a town called Qatif, an 18-year-old woman, soon to be married, was riding in a car with her ex-boyfriend last year when they were kidnapped and brutally attacked. The first man with a knife raped me, she said. After the seventh one, I couldn't feel my body anymore. All 7 came back and raped me again. A Saudi court sentenced her attackers to prison terms and lashes, but then also sentenced the woman to 90 lashes for privately meeting with an unrelated male, a violation of the country's strict Islamic law.
After following several cases, this is the most clear, unjust sentence that have ever been made in a public case like this.
The rape victim did something rare in Saudi Arabia. She appealed. The court recently responded by more than doubling her sentence to 200 lashes and 6 months in prison.
She is devastated right now. She's very depressed.
The Saudi government denied permission for NBC News to shoot in Qatif, but we spoke to the victim's husband by telephone. He says the judges saw the rape as his wife's fault and treated her as a criminal.
Here we have a victim that was not treated as a victim and was actually punished. Here we have the Saudi Arabian authorities doing the opposite of what they should be doing.
And the Saudis have responded to international criticism by escalating allegations against the woman, now claiming she confessed to an adulterous affair. But her lawyer says the government's new claims are not true. The case has triggered a broader debate inside Saudi Arabia about treatment of women who live under a strict dress code enforced by religious police, can't drive, can't vote, and can't work without permission from a male relative.
This shows the need of immediate action and reform towards women's rights and women rules and regulations in the country.
The White House has condemned the woman's sentence, calling it outrageous. The Saudi foreign minister told U.S. reporters that unfortunate things can happen in the courts, and the sentence will be reviewed. But so far, no word on whether the Saudi king will use his power to overrule the courts to prevent this from happening to other Saudi women. Lisa Myers, NBC News, Washington.
Jag hattar den bilen. Jag studerade i universitetet i södra Iran. En imam sa att jag ska alla kvinnor bara långslöja. Jag ville inte. Varför? Och jag protesterade. Efter en vecka patrullen kom igen. Ja, gripade mig och de dömde mig 3 års fängelse. Efter 2 år de sa att vi ska prata med dig och de börjar slå mig och de var 3 man. De bröt min ben. De våldtäckte ursäkta mig. De 5 gånger de våldtagde mig. Efter 2 dagar de hämtade mig till sjukhus i fängelse. Efter 15 dagar Jag såg larv i såret.
Så när du kom ut fängelset, hur såg du på islam?
Islam är äckligare sak som jag såg det i mitt liv. Islam betyder misslyckad, betyder våldtag, betyder att kvinnor är inte människa. Kvinnor är halv. Islam betyder det. Islam betyder förtryck. Jag såg det islam så.